Well, this week we saw a major development in the legal world here in New York City. Mayor Eric Adams had his federal indictment dismissed with prejudice. I'm Eliza Orlins, career public defender for 15 years in Manhattan, and I want to explain what that means, what happened, and why it's so significant. First of all, when a case is dismissed with prejudice, that means it's a final decision. The case cannot be refiled. It's closed, it's done, it's over. The government cannot bring these same charges against Eric Adams in the future based on the same facts. As you can see here, Judge Ho lays it out in the beginning of his decision. He says that the DOJ seeks to abandon the prosecution while reserving the right to reinitiate the case in the future. However, he dismisses the case with prejudice, meaning the government may not bring the charges in the indictment against Mayor Adams in the future. This is huge because this is permanent. The government loses the chance to go after Eric Adams on these charges ever again in the future. But here's the catch. This dismissal is not a win for Eric Adams in terms of his innocence. In fact, you can see below, the motion to dismiss this case is expressly not based on the strength of the case against Mayor Adams, and the court's decision is not about whether Mayor Adams is innocent or guilty. I found this part of Judge Ho's decision particularly interesting, where he says that their rationale regarding the DOJ's immigration enforcement is both unprecedented and breathtaking in its sweep. They cite no examples, and the court is unable to find any of the government dismissing charges against an elected official because doing so would enable the official to facilitate federal policy goals. And the DOJ's assertion that it has virtually unreviewable license to dismiss charges on this basis is disturbing in its breadth, implying that public officials may receive special dispensation if they are compliant with the incumbent administration's policy priorities. That suggestion is fundamentally incompatible with the basic promise of equal justice under the law. Whew! He basically goes on to say that he feels constrained by the process, that even if he were to deny their motion, they could just sit on their hands and do nothing and then just obtain a dismissal on speedy trial grounds. But Judge Ho decides on a dismissal with prejudice because he believes that having the government able to bring back the charges on the indictment would entail the kind of prosecutorial harassment that this rule is meant to guard against. He also says that a dismissal without prejudice based on the rationale with the interfering of the mayor's ability to govern would create the appearance that he is beholden to the federal government, which holds the prospect of re-indictment over him if he should fail to adequately effectuate the administration's goals. So ultimately, even though Judge Ho basically says that everything in here smacks of a bargain and lays out the quid pro quo and says there was nothing that implied impropriety in bringing this indictment against Eric Adams, he dismisses the case with prejudice. And as for these charges against Eric Adams, well, they're gone. But as for his re-election, that's a whole other story. Let me know if you have other questions about this in the comments, and please make sure you're following me for more legal breakdowns, and thanks for being here.
Subscribe to The Contrarian on Substack.